Hi, friends, karate people in particular, yoga people also. I hope you're interested, but this is directed at karate people. We're just unpacking Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. This is like what, the third or the fourth video or something, and we're only getting to word two. There's a lot here, and that's the nature of this traditional teaching, is that it's very compacted and it's meant to be remembered. So by remembering Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, you can remember Ashtanga's 8 limbs. You can remember what the 8 limbs are. You can remember what the 5 yamas and the yamas are. It's like a memory project. Like these things they talk about, memory experts. So they have houses inside their minds with castles with various rooms and drawers where they keep all this information. It's a similar system where there's a lot of good information packed into these small compartments and all organized within them. So I'm going to skip vinyasa for the next video because there's so much packed into that, and so much that's vitally important to how we actually practice when we actually practice. And of course this links directly to how you practice on your yoga mat, but it also has a lot to do with how you do any kind of practice, certainly including our martial arts practice. But I want to unpack the last word, yoga, which is kind of a pun. The word yoga means union, which sounds a lot like the 8th limb, union with the divine. And it also means yoke, not like an egg, but the kind of a yoke that they would put on an ox or something, or a horse to pull a burden. You put this thing around, and it means that you're kind of strapped into some work that needs to be done. And a yoke is meant to make that work comfortable, but it's a yoke nonetheless. You're in servitude. And so that's in order to achieve union, it's not absolutely necessary perhaps, but it's very, very helpful to be strapped into a practice. So that yoke is the parameters of the practice itself, and the parameters of when and how you practice. And of course we have the 5/6 day practice cycle of Ashtanga yoga that I think is very healthy to apply to the martial arts thing and anything else you're doing in that realm. Sorry, what else was I going to say about that? Well, I wanted to relate it to the kind of the school motto that we came up with, because we felt we needed something for the website to sort of sum up what do we do. And there was a few of us that were involved, and it was quite an interesting and I thought a valuable process. And what we came up with was growth, community, mastery. And I don't know what that communicates to the people who read it for the first time, but it means a lot to us, at least. And again, it's something that can be unpacked. The growth part is that you have a practice that you go at home and you do your practice. The community part is that you participate in the community. Before the pandemic, we were participating in a community primarily by going to class. Now we're participating in that community by sharing videos. And in many ways, this is better than just showing up to class. I mean, there's obviously the direct interpersonal contact. Certainly in the martial arts thing, the partners work is really, really valuable, and it's a real exchange of energy and care and nurturing. In the yoga thing, not so much. I mean, you do your work on your yoga mat, you say hi before and afterwards, and it's nice to kind of say, hey, we should go for coffee, but it's the practice itself is still pretty solitary on the yoga mat. And it's true with the primary work that we do in karate, which is the solo practice. And so, we can do that as a group, but you're still just doing your kata on your own, So anyways, the growth part is primarily the at-home practice. The community part is the community part where we share. Now, we can get some benefit from the community part, whether you're practicing or not. And you can go a fair distance and kind of be having your dirty little secret that you don't practice. Okay, well, and it's not something to feel bad about. And some people just aren't ready, and sometimes it takes a long time. And these things happen at different times for different people. Some people walk into these things and they're in right away, practice every day. Sure, I can do that. And those people tend to do really well at the beginnings. And they run into other kinds of roadblocks later on. Other kinds of insights occur to them, and they go to the kind of a dark night of the soul, and this doesn't make any sense to me, and then they come out the other end in most cases, and they're like, okay, I get this now, and I've got a new direct connection to the work. It's not just about what somebody's telling me. It's not just about obedience, that kind of stuff. But other people, it takes a long time, before they really, get over that hump and establish a daily practice. It's taken me a long time. I mean, I've had a daily practice. It's been much better than intermittent, but it's been a struggle for me. And what's changed for me is that it's really no longer a struggle. So that's a tremendous relief, I can tell you that. But anyway, so you can go to the community, you can get the benefit to some degree of the community, but if you don't have an at-home practice, you're not really part of that community. You're not really talking the same language, and you don't have as much to give to that community as you would if you were a fully, paid up member. In other words, if you're doing your at-home practice. The other way is also true, that if you're just practicing at home and you don't have a connection to a community, there's not much going on there. I have tremendous respect, and I know people that have been doing this kind of work totally on their own for decades, and that's very impressive because the community is, of course, supportive of that. But what's lacking is the growth that's available in a private practice, in a solitary practice. Without the nurturing of the community, it tends to stagnate. It tends to go around the same circles, and it's fine, but really that's not appropriate until you've reached some kind of level of mastery where it's possible to supposedly, I suppose, I don't really know too many people that do this, but to actually go off into the mountains in a cave or something. And we hear these stories of the ancient masters who spend X number of years alone in a cave. That's only after achieving mastery and then going into the cave to kind of go over that to some kind of final barrier or something like that. Nobody goes off into the forest with a violin and comes out a master. Nobody does that. We need instruction. We need community. We need to hear other people, see other people doing what we're doing. And we need to be practicing at home. It's just, I use the music as a bit of an analogy because there are a lot of parallels. There's lots of ways in which it's really different, but there are some parallels. So then we have this dynamic relationship between community and at-home practice, and that produces something that we can vaguely call mastery. And, to remove a certain amount of mystery from that, we can just say that it's like getting a doctorate or something where you're capable of contributing to the field. You're not just kind of doing research to see what everybody else has done. You know enough, your knowledge is broad enough, and your skill set is strong enough that you can actually step forward, stand on the shoulders of giants and maybe see something from your own perspective and hopefully actually add something to the study. But of course, just like speaking about, academic degrees, when somebody who just walks off campus with their new, freshly minted doctorate is not in the same class as somebody who's been a doctor for 30 years and done research in the field. So there are levels of mastery, and it's really important step. Just like when you get your first degree black belt. That's an important step, but in no way are you done. You're a black belt, but there's a whole lot of more black belt available. And you get to these ranks where they identify as mastery, and that's great. It's an important transition, but you're not done. Anyways, I just wanted to leave you with those ideas about unpacking that word yoga, the idea of a yoke and a practice, and a connection to an at-home solitary practice, and that connection to a community. That's all, to me, wrapped up in that word yoga. And of course, yoga doesn't just mean putting your leg behind your head or doing sun salutations. It means martial arts or any practice done for the better, spiritual benefit of the practitioners. Okay, hopefully that's interesting. See you in the next one.